as we wait to see if a hostage deal is fully completed, there are 98 hostages currently captive in Gaza, where they have been held for 465 days now. 7 of those hostages are American Israelis, including 19-year-old Sergeant Itay Chen. His father, Ruby Chen, has been one of the most vocal proponents for a deal, meeting with top-level officials in both the Biden administration and incoming Trump administration, even traveling recently to Doha for meetings with Qatari and U.S. negotiators. Well, joining me in studio now is Ruby Chen, the father of Itay Chen. Ruby, thank you so much for being with us on The Rundown this evening.
Good evening to you on the evening of 465 days, last time that I spoke to my son.
465 days. I want to begin with, how are you doing? 15 months of this, and you have been one of the most vocal proponents of a deal. How do you continue to get out here and share your message?
Well, I view myself as a representative of those that have lost their voice, and it gives me more energy to know that, I'm not representing only myself, but more individuals, more family members. I would even start by saying that on the way over, I spoke to the parents of Hadar Golden, Leah, and from my perspective, the first ones that need to come out, actually, the responsibility that the governments of past have had to that family, as well as to the Oren Shaul family and the Avraham Magishta family, those are the ones actually that should be coming out first.
And recently, you just returned from a trip to Doha. You met with Qatari mediators, you met with United States mediators. What did you gain from this trip and meeting with some of these mediators on the ground?
Well, maybe I'll take it a step back a second and say what was the catalyst? And unfortunately, I have true belief in the Israeli negotiators with Ronen Bar and with Nitan Alon. My problem is with the politicians and the guidelines that they are being given. And I think it was important, critical, that the negotiators in Doha that speak directly to Hamas, as well as my U.S. representatives here directly from me, a family member, what exactly the families want. And it's pretty simple. We want a deal that encompasses all of the hostages. It doesn't mean that everyone needs to come out on the same day, but metaphorically, that bus that has the hostages on them that is leaving Gaza, yeah, everyone should be on that bus, and my kid better be on that bus as well. And that's what I wanted to look to Bet Magak in the eye, as well as the Qatari officials that were willing to meet me, and explaining to them what is the demand of the families. And Steve Witkoff, we've had conversations over and over again. And when I was in Doha, I also called him as well, shared with him my thoughts. And I think the fact that a representative, a very close representative of President Trump is there, the guarantees that the current administration is giving to the negotiators is also backed by Mr. Witkoff, which is a sign that there is the backing of the incoming administration as well to all the things that are being negotiated at the moment.
Leaving that meeting, did you feel that the Qatari mediators were listening to your voice as a father of a hostage who is still being held?
Yes, it's not the first time that I've been to Doha, not even the second time. And I think that they have been intrigued by the dynamics that have happened between the families and the Israeli representatives. They also respect me as someone that is a U.S. citizen. And by the way, Itay, via my wife, is also a German citizen. So actually, he is the only hostage that has more than 2 citizenships. So we also met in Doha, the German ambassador in Doha. And he as well has been putting efforts as well to make sure that Itay is one of those that comes out. Again, it doesn't need to be the first guy that gets off the bus, but he better be on that bus.
And you have another trip planned, Ruby, to the United States for Donald Trump's inauguration. It seems that there is movement in a deal. Some people are stating that it could be signed even before Trump is inaugurated. And so what is your hope for this visit to the U.S.?
Yeah, first, a small nuance that I think is significant. We did not ask to be invited. Actually, we were offered to attend by the inauguration team. I think it's an important nuance to take note of, which means that the president-elect is aware of the fact that there are U.S. hostages in the audience. And I pray to God that when we get there, the president is able to meet us and say to me in very simple terms, I got your son back.
I certainly hope that is the case. if that is the case. This has been your main focus, Ruby, and yours and many of the other family members for 15 months at this point. If a deal is finally sealed and delivered, what happens next for you? How do you begin to move forward following the successful efforts that you have been working towards for 15 months now?
Yeah, I like to say, those that are old enough remember Star Trek. We've been beamed to another universe, and even though you see me, you don't actually see me. We work in a time zone that works differently. Time has a different aspect to it, as well as what we see and what we hear. And when we come back to this universe, you never land at the same spot that you were before. We will need to figure it out. But what I do know for a fact is that the ability of getting those 7 U.S. hostages out would be a significant step for this president that has tried to admire and be like President Reagan in the past. And I like to remind everyone that when Reagan's first day in office, he got all of the U.S. hostages out, not a portion, all of them out. And we hope that will happen again to us in this incoming inauguration.
Certainly hope so, and I look forward to hearing how your visit and your invitation to the United States goes, and that Itay Chen and all of the 98 hostages are brought back as soon as possible.
Amen.
Ruby Chen, thank you for being with us on The Rundown and sharing your experience after meeting with all of these negotiators and mediators.
Thank you.